Hello and welcome everybody. This is your host, Learbach, and you're just in time for more Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. In the last episode, we completed the swamp of oh crap, can't remember where it was now. Malay? And either way, we defeated Ms. Ruby. It's somewhere in South America, maybe. I didn't want to say Louisiana, but we already had an area that was in America, so it makes sense that this.
Travel plans to China have all been worked out.
Anyway, in this episode, we're gonna go to China. Before that, let's see what Disney's up to. Playing with a paddle ball. Okay. Well, it's at least still less annoying than the Sonic movie trailer.
Travel plans to China.
That'll date this episode a little bit.
The road trip gave me the time I needed to study up on the Panda King. Born penniless, he was fascinated by the fireworks rich noblemen set off every New Year's. He spent a decade learning the art. But when he tried to offer his fireworks to the noblemen, they couldn't see past his shabby clothes and chased him away. Humiliated, the Panda King took revenge on those who shunned him by using the very tools of his art for crime. The Fiendish Five recruited him as their demolitions expert, and from then on, his explosive touch became feared worldwide. He's rumored to be perfecting some new firework technique high in the unstable Kunlun Mountains of western China.
Is Sly Cooper in? Fire in the Sky. Ooh, love the title. Also, on the subject of China, I'm going to say something that Blizzard doesn't have the balls to actually say. And if anyone doesn't know what Blizzard is, seriously, look it up. I don't think it's that bad. Or that obscure. But Free Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times. Yeah, I'd love to see Blizzard try to ban me from. I don't even play any of their games. For those of you wondering what that whole thing is about, because by the time it goes up, I can see enough time having passed. Activision Blizzard, a video game company based in America, North America, the country I live in, banned a player of their game because he had said that exact phrase. Only he was from Hong Kong, so he actually said it in the native language. Because Hong Kong is going through some difficult issues right now regarding China, and Blizzard decided to ban them, despite the fact they banned them for a year, later reduced down to 6 months. After a lot of people complained about that, and their reasoning for it is because it was not related to the game, but also keep in mind they've never banned people for talking about other things. They've basically slapped on the wrist someone for saying hate speech before, which I would say is way worse than political speech. So yeah, there's a bit of a double standard there. And also, there's a lot of evidence that they're doing this to satiate China, because the Chinese market is pretty big for any company that wants to break in and make all the millions. But you had to get past the government, which the government is a very controlling government. They basically try to stifle as much free speech as they possibly can because, hey, free speech gets people talking, and they may realize that, you're not that good. and next thing you know, they have a revolution, and they start setting up a new government. That's not really anything political. That's just kind of common sense right there. Thank goodness we don't have people trying to do that here in America, he says sarcastically knowing very well oh, that was adorable. Wait, hold on. I just realized something. Is he sending us his babies? Are those his babies he's sitting down? Okay. I thought that was gonna work because the first time I jumped over them, it worked. You can go back and see it. It wasn't even 5 seconds ago. You saw it. Just gonna. And there you go. Knock that guy out. And let's carry on. Yeah, so obviously, you know, it's a bit of a touchy subject, sort of. And going on to ouch. So much of a touchy this is so much of a touchy subject that the game is actively fighting me back. Oh, are we in the right spot? Holy cow, the game actually... Yeah, the game actually sent me forward a little bit. A possible speedrunning strat? I don't know, I'm not as big into speedrunning as other people. Like... Oh, probably had invisibility. Did we have... No, we didn't have invisibility before this. I think that's new. Yeah, this is new. We got that after we beat Ms. Ruby. But yeah, this is the thing. Whatever you think about, like whether the whole thing with China is controversial or not, free speech should not be stifled. Period. I mean, the big thing with Hong Kong was a debate over human rights. Basically, China was trying to treat Hong Kong like they're less than people, less than human, like not actual citizens. And people don't like it when that happens. Like, that's just a simple fact of life. People don't like being treated as less than human. I mean, that's why slavery isn't a thing anymore. That's why people fight for freedom. That's why the American Revolution started, right? Because we were sick and tired of the British government treating us like, you know, we were less than equal just because we lived a long way away. That's why the French Revolution started, actually, because the poor common folk were getting tired of how the rich folk were treating them. Excuse me. Excuse me again. I'm gonna have to apologize for any coughing more so than I normally do. I've been dealing with something. I don't know what in my system the past 2 days. So I think it's mostly passed, but it's just gotten me, man. It's getting colder. Ah, that was mean. Well, and this is what I get. This is what I get for bringing politics into this. I get a game over. Third? I mean, I guess technically this is it's not even that special at this point because I've died so many times fighting Ms. Ruby. God, that boss fight was just... It's not one of my favorite boss fights. I'm not a big fan of rhythm games just because, like, there's a lot of problems with rhythm games. About, like, just... It comes down to basically latency and a bunch of other technical mumbo jumbo that a lot of people aren't going to understand, nor are they going to really use it as admissible evidence, even though, you know, stuff like frame rate and button latency versus screen latency is a real thing. Like, I think I mentioned this before, but my capture card I have right now has a slight delay on it. Like, let me jump over here and land, and the capture card just landed where I was. So, yeah. I'm not sure how accurate this is going to be once I sync it up with my voice, so it should be fairly accurate. And you'll be able to see that there's a clear, like, maybe a half-second delay, and it doesn't seem like it's a whole lot. Like, oh, I could do that, except you realize that there's a one-to-one button push. Like when I push the button left or right, you go, like the characters move left or right exactly at that time. Exactly what I told them to. So, right, left. Yeah. So keep in mind when I'm moving the controller, when I'm moving the control stick, I'm moving the controller or the character at the same exact time that the button gets pushed. It's why why there's a lot of people that don't like 30 FPS and we're going to further games being 60 FPS. Me being one of them, I'd rather my games have a slight resolution, a slightly lower resolution and a higher frame rate than higher resolution, lower frame rate. One of the big problems with the lower frame rate, and you can actually see this in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, particularly when you go into Kokiri Forest, is how bad the lag is in there. How the very goes from 30, drops straight down to I don't know what, but it is stuttery, it is unwieldy. You can't, like, you wouldn't be able to play the game if it was like that the entire time. And that's a game that starts at 30 frames per second, and you have no option for putting it in 60. Which is a real shame that they're one of the few things holding that game back. Excuse me. But yeah. But yeah, so much, but yeah. Not to mention, when I was fighting the Lionels in Breath of the Wild, the hardest enemy in the game, even harder than the bosses, which isn't really saying much in retrospect. That's when I started to realize the big problem with 30 FPS. Cause in order to do the flurry strike, you have to be able to dodge an enemy just as they're about to attack, and you can do a wide drop. You can do a gigantic flurry of attacks on them, and it's cool. Excuse me. It's cool when you do that because you get to deal a high amount of damage. You get to 10 times the damage you normally deal because you're doing 10 strikes one after the other. But the problem is with the frame rate, it's kind of hard to do it because at 30 frames a second, when you do it exactly when you think you're supposed to, it doesn't really matter because the game had a refresh there. 30 frames a second doesn't sound like a lot. 30 frames a second sounds like a lot.
You can't get through the security gate without one of the Panda King's treasure keys. There's one over there, but it's heavily guarded.
One key coming up.
That doesn't seem too hard. Yeah, so the frame rate doesn't seem like it's a big deal. When it's 30 frames a second, that's a lot of frames. Except, when you look at, I think this might be in 60 frames. It feels like it's 60. I could go invisible. And that did not help me at all. Okay. I'm just gonna have to brute force my way through this. I don't want to do that, but... Whew, got an extra life for it at least. But yeah, so yeah, I think this is 60 frames. It feels like it's 60. Like I said, in 30, and it's one thing I've been playing 30 your whole life, but most console games, and this is a bit of a secret not a whole lot of people know. Most console games have actually been 60 frames a second. It wasn't until PS4. I actually think it wasn't until PS4 or Xbox One that they started doing the 30 frame thing, which, yeah, 30 frames is doable, but it'd be better if it was 60. I mean, it'd be better. Yeah, it'd definitely be better for the 60. Now I'm missing one. Oh, I see it. I see it. Got it. Okay, and so we're gonna go back and open that chest. That safe.
Press the circle to enter the vault code. I got a real headache figuring this one out. Input 578.
Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 7, 8.
Oh yeah, this will come in handy. It's Suzanne Cooper's notes pertaining to water safety. With this knowledge under your belt, you won't have to waste a charm whenever you fall into water.
Ooh, nice. That's a good one. Too bad. I'm just trying to think, do we have any water levels left? I don't think there's any water left in this game, actually. I think it's all mountains and hilltops from here. And so now we're at the main base. I'm gonna go ahead and stray 4 out. Find the centralmost point of the town. Oh, there we go.
Nice job breaking into the Panda King's compound. I think I figured out a way to get to the top of that giant statue. But unfortunately, it's obstructed by this reinforced ceiling hatch.
No problem. They seem to have plenty of firepower around here. I'll just have to find a few more treasure keys to get at it.
Yep. So before we go, I want to check the map and see what we have. King of the Hill, Unseen Foe, and Flaming Temple of Flame. We're going to try and do King of the Hill first, because that one looks like it's going to be under more.
Attention, valued employee. Sadly, incompetence elect not to pay for avalanche protection service.
Okay. Excuse me.
Murray's all fired up to make the key. While on the blasting station, use the left analog stick to aim and the square button to fire.
Right on. I'll keep him covered.
Okay, so we got a shooting machine here, which isn't too
I'm
hatefully
going
bad.
in, Sly.
Oh.
Hey!
Oh.
No!
Yeah, like this, like
Hey!
it's one of those things I didn't even think too hard about it before, but yeah, this does feel like it might be 60 FPS, which makes sense.
No!
Just there'd be like a movement, like a slight
Oh no!
slow, like clunkiness to the feel.
Hey!
Oh. Yeah.
No!
It just comes naturally to 30 FPS. Like I said, it's not normally a problem when you're playing the game up until you end up hitting lag spike.
Oh no! Oh,
Which
thanks!
at 60 FPS, if you get a lag spike, it's not a big deal. It just drops it down to 40 and you don't feel a thing. When you
I made it halfway!
at 30 and it drops it down even like 1 frame, it's still fairly noticeable.
Oh no!
Just because it's that huge difference in how many frames are being rendered, right? Like, I remember trying to play Minecraft at like 25, 24 frames a second, and it was, whew.
Hey! Oh!
Dang it! The one problem with this control scheme with this is that to push
Let's
down
go,
to look
Sly.
up, which is not how this should be. Let's see, can I change that by any chance? finally I was gonna fix it. But now it feels weird. Now it feels weird because I got used to it the whole time. And this is why I don't like shooters on the controller.
Oh, I'm going in, Sly.
You can just hear how disheveled and tired he is. Fortunately, the accuracy for this isn't too unforgiving. I was pointing at where the rocket used to be.
Bingo! Oh no! Oh!
I can't tell what it's.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh no! Good shooting!
Fortunately, these aren't too bad.
Oh!
This wasn't the problem mission I was thinking of, by
Made
the
it
way.
halfway! No! Keep it up! Oh no!
The heck was that noise he was making there?
No! Hey! Hey!
And then, like, this draw right now, he sounds like Tim Curry having the best ham sandwich in the world. Or just Tim Curry acting like himself. Okay, so next we have 2 standard levels. I think the unseen foe. Looking at the water. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Let's go to the window.
This looks like a good place to try out your new invisibility move. Hold down the circle button to drop out of sight. While invisible, nothing can see you. Not lasers, not searchlights, not guards. Oh, and if the guards already see you, then the invisibility trick won't work on them.
Oh, that's not ending well. So yeah, I think this like might be the one level in the game where you actually have to use invisibility. Let's see what else. Anything else can. There we go. I'm trying to think of anything else we can talk about. They're kind of burned out all my topic I wanted to talk about. Oh! I kept talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield and the controversy we took behind that. But I guess there's not a whole lot to say, though, is there? Like, you know, they didn't include all 800 Pokemon. 800 almost 1,000 Pokemon in this game, which, I mean, if we're being completely honest, that was always an inevitability. That was going to happen eventually. And if we're being honest, I think it's better they do it that way and focus more on the gameplay than just trying to see how to get all and having to worry about adding in and balancing all these Pokemon together. Because a friend of mine who's really big into Pokemon, we were having this conversation the other night, actually exactly about that, and he thought it was a good idea that they got rid of a lot of the more overpowered Pokemon, like the S tier tournament Pokemon, and he's really glad that it makes Arcanine viable now. Arcanine and I forgot what the other Pokemon was viable in tournaments now, which I mean, you know, it's a good way of thinking about it, right? Make certain Pokemon viable again. I think that's the idea of like pulling like what they do in Magic the Gathering, where they have different brackets, and they have like the Modern and Legacy in Magic the Gathering. So if you want to play with the most recent cards, you play Modern. If you want to play with any cards, you play Legacy. They could do the same thing with Pokemon. Or they do like kind of like a rotation every generation, where it's like instead of just eliminating the most recent Pokemon, they do the most recent Pokemon, and then also like some Pokemon from the previous generation. In this generation, for example, Charizard is the only starter Pokemon that comes from a previous line. So the next generation will be Squirtle or Bulbasaur, or the Wartortle and not Wartortle, Blastoise and Ivysaur? No, Ivysaur is the second evolution of Bulbasaur. Wow, I cannot remember. Venusaur, that's it, Venusaur. I used to know everything. I used to know all the 150 by heart. I lost my touch. So, I'm not going to be able to tell the difference between a Scyther and an Onyx. God, I hope that never happens. They're like completely different. I guess the more fitting one would be Gyarados and Onyx. They're both generally the same shape and I think same size too. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not talking about the game more, because I don't really have a whole lot to say right now. Just playing the game as usual, and fucking really bad at it too. And wow, that did not work out that all the way I was hoping it would. Oh, and I gotta read that whole section again. Ooh. You know what? It may be better just to die. At least didn't respawn close to the top. Trying to be crafty and get at the place from underneath, but no, it didn't want me to. I get the bottles from above, but no, it didn't want me to, so no. Guess I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. what's over here. I think something up here would be good. Alright. Yeah, oh, this is the actual safe. Ooh, delete that there.
Sly, this pagoda is some kind of huge gunpowder production plant. Judging by the scale, the Panda King must be making tons of explosives.
Here, no. Oh, there's water, so I should actually get out of it. Get it. There. Didn't remember the buttons. Gosh, I hooked the button less than 2 seconds ago. Okay, so let's see here. Got one more level to do. I'm not simply just save it for the next episode because I think, yeah, I think we're going to save it for the next episode because we're going a little long on time here. So, the next episode we're going to be entering the Flaming Temple of Flame. Until then, I'll see you guys later.